Hello, welcome back to the Mr. Arsenal podcast for positive match review. We've actually got points. We've got points on the table. We've got clean sheet as well. I can't believe it. Oh dear.
Well, you muted, Mike, Ryan.
Oh, it's gone.
Oh, all right. Fair enough.
Switched it off as well now.
How are you, Steve?
I'm all right, mate. How are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm all right. Not too bad at all. Not too bad. Nice to see you
I've done
again.
one of these on the back of a win, I think.
Is it really?
I think so, yeah. This season, anyway. Yeah.
Oh, God. I know. There's a lot to like. There's a lot to like about the performance, I think. He's back.
Yeah.
I'm back. Yeah. Go continue as you were saying.
Yeah, I've got a dodgy stream from Ryan, which I got to work off and on, but it did work eventually. So.
To be fair, that's usually last year that worked for me perfectly, and literally it was working fine until literally like 2 minutes before the goal happened. Then I spent the next 15 minutes trying to get the stream to work again.
Oh, God.
I got to kick off. They kicked off, and then it went.
Oh, God.
I found one eventually with some Saudi Arabian commentary, but the picture was good. So,
Yeah. No, I found I was about 15 minutes late. I missed about the first 15 minutes trying to get it sorted. Once I got it sorted, it was great. But I was trying to cast it. Oh, it's a long old story. I was trying to cast it from my phone initially, and it didn't work. But yeah, got it all sorted in the end, thankfully. But I think there's a lot to. I was saying just before you got back, Ryan, a lot to like about the performance. I thought on Saturday.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Well, it took us all by surprise because we were saying on Friday we did our preview. We were saying about Ramsdale needs to be. We all picked Ramsdale particularly to be in the 11. But we all said at the end of it, you know what? No, he won't do it. He'll put Leno in goal. So it was a pleasant surprise to actually see Ramsdale in.
Yeah.
Well, what people don't realise that he's the goalkeeper is part of the defence. Yeah, so they need to have a good understanding and a good rapport between the back four and the goalkeeper, and he's got that presence. He's got more presence than Leno will ever have, I think. He's a lot more lively. He speaks a lot more. He gets a lot more animated when they do good things and when they do bad things or whatever. He was not shy to put his word forward to them, but he's not very strong with his praise for them as well when they do things right. And he's I think they've got a lot more respect and trust in him as a defence. So I think he fits into that back five really well.
I certainly was. I wasn't as nervous when he had the ball at his feet looking for a player.
No.
Didn't get that. Oh my God, what's going to happen now? Sort of. Pretty much, he found the man he was looking for all the time, didn't he? I don't.
Yeah.
But and I think I said last week, it's not just about being a shot stopper, is it? Which obviously Lane's a good shot stopper, but it's about being part of that back five.
It is, and he's a lot more accurate with his long balls as well.
Yeah, and he kicks it a long way, doesn't he? Notice that as well.
Yeah, he kicks it further than Leno, but also more accurately, which is a big bonus as well. Because I think it was the Arsecast, I might be wrong, but they were talking about the fact that Leno. Arteta does include sort of long balls from from the back as part of his sort of plan on occasions, and that's shown with Leno a lot because Ramsdale went just as long, just as frequently as Leno does, but they were more dangerous. They found our players a lot more regularly than Leno's do, so. It can be a good weapon when he does that, as we've seen with Liverpool and City with their goalkeepers. They're well renowned for their long kicking and finding their teammates with them. So hopefully we can get that with Ramsdale as well for Arsenal.
Well, I think it's be very unusual for him to not play against Burnley now, wouldn't it? I think he's in the side now. He's trusted him to play the first one. There's no reason to drop him, is there?
No.
More likely he'll play Leno in the Wimbledon game.
Yeah, I think so as well. Yeah.
Well, I think he'll go. And the back four, we didn't pick up any injuries. Lokonga again, he linked the play, didn't he? I think he did really well. He's very athletic in the midfield. Ainsley
Definitely.
was a little bit not sure about Ainsley, but again, that was a bit of a surprise playing him in midfield, wasn't it?
Yeah, it might have been a bit of a surprise to Ainsley as well, to be fair. But he didn't do too badly. But he wasn't spectacular. He didn't take the chance by the scruff of the neck and make himself undroppable, did he? Let's put it that way. But I mean, God, when Partey came on, if he hadn't been for a swap with Lokonga, that would have been really exciting to see, wouldn't it? To see how they had played together, because Lokonga was having a really good game, I thought. And when Partey came on, well, he made the goal with that amazing pass straight away. As soon as I saw that ball leave his foot, I thought, oh my God, something's going to happen here, because it was just an arrowed pass straight through the middle of their midfield, and it was just what we've been missing so much. I mean, Lokonga brings that, but not quite that incisive at the moment. If we get the chance to see them play together, I think that's going to be something to see. I mean, it's going to be very mouth-watering, I think, because it gave us a different dimension. Without a Xhaka in the team, I'm not saying, I'm not going to just slag him off for the sake of it, Xhaka, but when he's not in the team, it's not the passes coming from him aren't always going out to the left wing. When we've got different players in the middle, it opens up more avenues for us, and it says a lot that Pepe had the most amount of touches out of anyone on the pitch, and that he was playing on the right. How often does that happen? I mean, when's the last time that happened with Arsenal, that we had most touches over on the right-hand side? I mean, it never does it? So that's a really good sort of positive from the match, I think, that our attacking wasn't just down the left, it was down the middle as well and on the right-hand side. So we had a lot more variety to the game, and I think that's what I enjoyed more than anything. And I think Tomiyasu had a big part to play in that, actually.
Yeah. But did he win 7 out of 8 headers? 7 out of 8 headed.
Yeah.
He looks solid. He looks like a big lad, doesn't he? I mean, and he's getting back quick. He's not trying to go forward, and if he's out of position, he gets back into position really quickly. And I think that back four, I mean, I didn't really notice Ben White play, but I mean, that's a good sign, I think, when you don't notice players. I mean, Gabriel, first game back, he looks solid. So the whole thing suddenly changed. The dynamic of the team changed.
Well, you can see how Ben White changes the play as well from the back, and how he can be a lot more positive with his passing forward. How I hardly noticed him, and I actually made a point of watching for this in the game, where his passes went, and he hardly ever passed to Gabriel, or in fact he didn't pass very often to Tomiyasu either. No. Only on a couple of occasions he made, but that was when they were both of them quite far up the pitch. He passed a nice pass over to Tomiyasu. But generally, they were into the midfielders, Ben White, and that's such a massive help for us to build from the back, to have the confidence with the ball at Ramsdale's feet, to have the confidence with the ball. Gabriel as well. Gabriel's a decent passer out from the back, but also Ben White and Tomiyasu. They're all competent. And it sounds stupid playing for Arsenal. I mean, for God's sake, you should be confident, but. They looked like a different kettle of fish, all of them. I mean, and it really did help bring the ball up through the thirds with them starting it. It made a massive difference. Yeah, I thought Ben White was really, really good.
It makes the opposition think about their pressing game, doesn't it? Because normally when they're pressing us, we're dilly-dallying with the ball at the back.
Yeah.
Whereas now looks like we can just bypass that press, just get the first pass away, and all of a sudden. You're in the midfield and you're on their back five. So it spreads the game, spreads the pitch, and the front players will get more confidence knowing the ball's actually going to get to them. The amount of good runs these guys make, and then you see Xhaka again. Don't want to knock him out all the time, but the amount of time you see that the pass is on and he knocks it 5 yards left to
exactly.
Exactly. You can't do that.
No. Did you notice how?
Sorry, go on.
No, I was going to say, did you notice, talking about exactly what you're saying, I totally agree, the amount more runs that Aubameyang makes off the defender's shoulder.
Yeah.
He's always looking. He looks like he's much more on the tip of his toes all the time, ready to make those runs, and that makes a massive difference.
He looked 5 yards faster than he's been in the last few games because he's thinking, well, if I move, the ball's probably going to get to me.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So, and so I was really quite. I mean, we missed a lot of chances, but it was a lot more exciting to watch us. I thought.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Norwich were a good side. They played really well. They gave us a game, that's for sure. And it was never going to be easy. I know we sort of said, "Oh, we're going to win easily," but the reality was we were never going to win easy. But we won. We didn't concede. We scored. We're out of the bottom 4. Tottenham lost. It's all good, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, for the first 3 games, Norwich played Liverpool, City, and Leicester. And I don't take much notice at this being the age I am, but their XG for those 3 games was double Arsenal's XG for our opening 3 games. Yeah, bearing in mind we played against Brentford. Obviously, we had 2 tough games as well, but all their 3 were really tough games. But throughout all 3 matches, their XG was, I think it was 0.64, which isn't massive, but it was double what we had in our opening 3 games. Yeah. So they're not a crap side. They're probably going to go down, but they're a good footballing side, and they always stick to their principles, which I like about them. And they're a good side to watch. But they created chances against Liverpool and City and Leicester a lot more than we would have done in our first 3 games. I'm telling you now. So we did well to win in the end, but we were a bit profligate in front of goal. But we created so many chances. I'd lost count. I mean, we had 30 shots, didn't we? Which is the most we've had since 4 years. Most we've had in 4 years.
Yeah, usually stuff like that. Usually we're facing 30-odd chances, usually.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, there wasn't really. Ramsdale did what he had to do quite comfortably, didn't he? Really, it wasn't as if we were, it was a mess in our box. We didn't seem to get ourselves in these sort of messes that we normally do when the ball's ricocheting around and nobody can clear it and, it keeps coming back. That didn't really happen.
No.
They looked solid. They all looked like they were knew what to do. And to be fair, if that game had been the first game of the season, we'd all be sitting here thinking, well, this is it. We're going to go for it now.
Yeah, that's true.
Norwich first game, when we played like that and won with that team, you'd be thinking, geez, this is it. This is the real McCoy now.
Yeah. I was for the first time in a long time, I actually watched a game, and yes, I was nervous. We had a bit of anxiety, like most Arsenal fans would have done, because of desperate need for a win. But I was actually really enjoying the way we were playing football, and that makes such a difference to me. It really does. I mean, to actually watch us and be excited by the movement and by the way we're playing, that means the world, really, because the first 3 games, I can't say that I enjoyed any of them. Genuinely.
No.
It was boring. It was horrible.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed it, and there's a lot to take from it. And the fact that we started with 5 of the new signings was really positive. I think they all played well, really. There's none that didn't really deserve to be playing in the team, was there? Quite pleased with all of them.
Yeah, I mean, they all did their job, didn't they? I mean, obviously, Tommy came off, maybe a bit of fatigue, maybe a little bit of lack of fitness, but apart from that, I mean, you can't ask for a better debut from a right back, and he looks so much more solid than what we've had before. We've not really seen probably yet his attacking play as much, but that will come. And I think the Conga will just grow in confidence, and he's got a bit of physicality about him as well, and he can pick a pass, and I'm really positive.
I love the way he plays, Lukonga. He looks like he looks so chilled out and relaxed, not in a bad way though, but he looks so composed. Every time he touches the ball, he never gets ruffled. He doesn't, even in tight spaces, he somehow manages to get out of them and look like he's just got out of the bath. He looks so chilled out and relaxed. It's unbelievable. I love the way. Can you imagine if that goal had gone in from Tomiyasu, that volley? That I don't know how. I mean, how the hell? It still went over the bar, but only just. I mean, he did so well to get over the top of that and keep some kind of control over that ball, especially being punched, sort of pushed in the back at the same time. In fact, I thought there was a shout for a penalty, to be perfectly honest, because the defender, literally just shoved him. But that would have been an amazing debut goal. I mean, Christ Almighty, that would have been. But I wasn't, to be fair, I wasn't expecting him to. After all the experts and people that have been talking about him after we signed him, it very much was the case that he was supposedly going to come in and just sit between sort of right back and right centre back in the back three when Tierney was bombing up and down the left. I don't know whether you heard any different, but that's pretty much everything I heard about Tomiyasu. He's not not been brought in to maraud up and down the right hand side. He's going to slot in instead of Xhaka dropping into the back three when Tierney goes up. It's just going to be Tomiyasu. So I wasn't expecting him to get forward at all, to be honest. So the fact that he did was something else I was really chuffed about. I'm really pleased about. Really,
he's obviously got a good engine, isn't he, to get up and down. He's obviously got a good fitness level. And I mean, there weren't really any negatives from my point of view, especially from a defensive. I mean, we had 30 chances, we could have scored more, but hey, that happens, doesn't it? The ball was the goal was a bit pinball, and as I tweeted, I'm amazed VAR didn't find a way of disallowing it from an offside or something.
They tried,
me too.
They tried. They looked at it, but in the end, I'm thinking, just sum it all up. That was just allowed, wasn't it? But that's what you need sometimes, a bit of luck like that.
Well, their goalkeeper Tim Krul had one of the games of his life, and then what's that guy's Brandon Williams? I mean, Jesus, that bit of defending against Pepe. I mean, that was unreal, absolutely unreal defending. And before the ball had even gone out, he was fist pumping as if he scored a goal. I mean, after he made that tackle, I don't blame him. That was as good as a goal. I mean, it was one of those. At that point, I just thought, is it going to be one of those days? Because. And I was actually starting to think, what's the backlash going to be now? I mean, after if we fail to score, especially if they nick one at the end or something, but if it was a 0-0 or whatever, all the fact that we've actually played really well and got a load of good positives to actually talk about this game, they're going to go out the window. I was actually thinking about things like that when that happened, because I thought it's not going to be our day. So I was absolutely delighted when we did get the goal, but. I mean, I can't understand. I mean, yes, he's never going to be the perfect player, Pepe, but I can't understand the negativity about him after that game either, because I thought he played really well, tracking back. He worked so hard. He was our most dangerous player, without question. And most touches. Yes, he frustrates a lot of people, but without him on the pitch, we don't create hardly anything at all. Yeah. And I think he just causes chaos, and he drags the opposition to him. I think he had really good movement. He was working hard on Saturday. We wouldn't have scored without him. Obviously, he hit the post initially, hit the post again, and he was that most dangerous player. And I just love watching him play. He gets me off my seat, and that's what the type of players I like. And he frustrates a hell of a lot of people with his first touch sometimes. Not crossing it quick enough, running it out of play or doing something. But for the rest of the time, when you concentrate on the positives rather than just looking at the negatives that he brings, I think he's one of our best players. I love him. I love watching him play. And
I think he's certainly come on in the last half a season, hasn't he? Back end of last season, and I think he's. He could be one of our most important players, because I think half the problem is for the defenders, he doesn't know what he's going to do, let alone they know what he's going to do.
Exactly, yeah.
He likes to beat them once, but then he fancies beating them again, and then he sometimes fancies beating them again, doesn't he? But you need players like that. You need at least one player like that can be unpredictable.
Yeah.
And you have to manage that, don't you? With the other players, if he's not doing something you should be doing, other players can step in. But you need that creative, and he is our most creative player at the moment.
Yeah.
And you've got to give him a bit of license to do that, haven't you? Let him play across the front three. Let him play across the front three. Swap him with Saka and do that.
Yeah, because I mean, he did one turn just left this player for dead, and no, it was like a no-touch turn he did with the ball, let the ball run past it, and he was off. And I literally love watching things like that. It's just that's what I pay your money for, to go and watch football, is to watch exciting players do that, and players that get you off your seat. And he's that type of player for me. And I know he's not everyone's cup of tea, but I'm really glad to have him. I think he's going to have a good season. I really do. He's just by looking at him, you can see that he's a lot more settled now, just as within the team, but also within the league. And I think he's adapted to it a lot better. I'm expecting good things from him this season. I really am.
Yeah.
Do you think part of the criticism, I mean, it's unfair criticism when I say this as well, is the fact we haven't got a clinical striker finishing off the chances that not just him, but Odegaard and Saka are creating?
Well, yeah, we haven't got, a clinical, fox in the box, have we? We haven't got that. Nketiah was the closest we were going to have to that, but maybe he could still come on at some point, couldn't he, and do that? But Aubameyang likes to get it wide and bring it in. Lacazette, he's not in the team at the moment, but he's not that 6-yard box player either, is he? And that's what you need sometimes. Those balls coming in, you need somebody who can just be switched on. And obviously, having players that can bomb down the wing and cross it. We don't really have a natural header. Well, you see, Martinelli has shown he can do that, but it doesn't look like he's ready to play. But then again, it's a long season, isn't it? We've only gained 4, and there's plenty of time for these players to do that, I think. But
it's easy to see. It's easy to overlook, and there will always be the people berating it, saying, "Well, it was only West Brom and it was only Norwich." But you've got, Aubameyang has got 4 goals already this season in 4 games. So who's to say that he's not going to get back to form this season? And I think that having, when we actually get Partey to start week in, week out, especially touch wood if he can play a lot more alongside Lokonga, he's going to with Ødegaard in front of them two, and then obviously Aubameyang in front of Ødegaard. I think that he's going to get a hell of a lot more chances to do what he loves doing best, and that's just to run off the shoulder of the last man and score a lot more goals and actually play the role of a striker. Because I think that's what we've been missing so much. People that will pass the ball directly and quickly from midfield. And Ødegaard is not like people who are expecting him to keep scoring or assisting all the time. I think that's going to improve all the numbers on that. But he's the player that, I know it sounds silly, but he's the player that makes the pass before the assist most of the time.
He's
and creates.
He's the link between the back and the middle, and then Ødegaard's the link between the middle and the front, if you like. And that's what you need.
That's exactly what we've been missing so much. I remember the first part of last season where we were just not creating anything at all. And he's going to be the one that corrects that an awful lot, because of even though it's not going to be the final pass or the actual strike for the goal, he's going to be the one that's creating it an awful lot more. And I can see. Definitely got it in him. He's got it in him. And in Madrid, when he was on loan from Madrid to Sociedad, he got 9 assists and 7 goals in that season a couple of years ago when he was out on loan for the whole year. And that's pretty decent. I'd take that every day of the week for Arsenal, those sorts of numbers at the moment.
But that's what you need is, for a striker to be clinical, he needs to get the chances, doesn't he? He needs to be kicked out. So if you've got Aubameyang looking to play on the last man and make those forward runs, you need a player in the middle that's actually going to be able to pick him out. And he's not going to get it every time, obviously, but 2 or 3 times in a game is enough. The amount of games we lose because we just don't score. We score, we don't lose. That's the way I look at it.
Exactly.
And Aubameyang will get a shed load of goals if he's given the chances.
Yeah. No, that comment on the screen, don't sound, don't say it sounds criminal. I'm excited as well, because I believe that there's a lot of positives in this team. I'm actually quite excited about all the squad that we've got now, and don't people think that just like sheep. If you're give any kind of account that's positive, oh, you're only Arteta in. You don't, you're this, you're that. You get branded as a certain type of person, and it's just all rubbish. Just all rubbish. Just think what you think, and it doesn't really matter if it changes. Every now and then as well, because of really bad decisions by the manager or really poor performances. But at the moment, why do you watch football if you can't enjoy a win and enjoy a really good performance?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's the first time we've seen that team play, isn't it? That's the first time we've seen that team play.
Yeah, and I don't care that it was against Norwich. Norwich were desperate to win. Norwich are desperate for the points. Yeah. Exactly. So it's just don't worry about what other people think, mate. And BX Gunner in the box. It's just great that you're feeling the same as what we are, by the sounds of it. That we're excited after that performance as well. And I don't care that it was against Norwich, because Norwich are fighting for their lives the same as we were at the bottom.
Let's be honest. Not back in the day when you had half the league were just whipping boys for the top teams. That's not the case anymore. These lower sides are just as capable of setting themselves up to give everybody a hard game. And they get their chances, and they're all spending multi-millions on players. So it's not as if it's only the top six that are buying players. They're all buying players. They're all capable of scoring. So you've got to give them credit that the fact is nobody's going to be a pushover.
No, and when we play Spurs in 2 weeks' time, let this go into just sink in for a second. They were like three wins out of 3, 9 points. Conceded. No goals conceded, and they were, we're going to be in another title race, blah, blah, blah. Wish we had their manager, blah, blah, blah. A load of crap. I'll tell you now, their next game is against Chelsea. They're going to lose that. And they're going to lose against Arsenal as well. When they lose against Arsenal, that 9-point lead they had over us is going to be gone. We'll actually be level on points with them after that game. I'm telling you now.
Touch wood. So, Burnley away here. Don't count Burnley away out yet.
The way they played, I'm telling you, against Crystal Palace.
They lost one game. They're down to 6 already.
Yeah. And I tell you what, they played. I know they had that sending off, but they were playing crap before that sending off. I'm telling you now.
The entire 90 minutes I watched that just out because of the air and all that. They were crap from the start. I don't get what anyone's. I noticed how the media, when Tottenham lose 3 or more goals to 0, the media kiss their arse. Oh, there's this injury, there's this, there's that.
They make the excuses for them.
Yeah, and then when we get battered, we lose 2-0 to Chelsea, the European champions, or 5-0 the following week to Man City. Who's this Arsenal? What is their identity? Throw them in the bus more. Stir the pot a bit more.
Yeah, I know. It just
no agenda though.
No, exactly. I know, but I'm telling you now, the way that we played yesterday, if we can continue on the form now and start building on it,
and take our chances,
we'll beat Spurs, because they were lucky in the first 3 games as well. Their performances were pretty poor, and all 3 of them they were lucky in lots of ways. So their 9-point lead is going to be swallowed up straight away by Arsenal. So bring it on. Bring it on, I say.
It's going to be keeping Partey fit. You don't need him to play 2 games and be out for a month, do you? He's got to play, and same with all the players. They've got to stay fit. They've got to play to the same level and continue playing to the same level, and then we'll see where we are. And I'm sure we'll move very quickly up the league. Very sure.
Yeah. I know, and I've just seen a comment from Arsenal Misfit, and this is what I was on about before, though, Steve. I said, just because you're praising a really good performance, in my opinion, and praising the young players that we brought in and enjoying that game, it doesn't mean that I still haven't got reservations about Arteta myself either. I'm just enjoying the moment because I'm an Arsenal fan and we won a game and we played well and I enjoyed watching us.
And Tottenham lost.
Exactly, and Tottenham lost. But it doesn't mean that everything's been, wiped clean and we're going to be fantastic from here on in. I hope so, though. I really do. I'd love nothing more for us to go on a real good winning run now, because I've got no agenda against Arteta, I wanted him out because of the way that we were playing, and it was absolutely awful. He was making terrible mistakes, I think, as a manager, with his man management, with his decisions on substitutions, with his tactics, and I could, it was hard to see the wood for the trees at one point. But if we're winning games, then Arsenal are doing well, obviously, and I don't care whether that's under Arteta, whether it's under someone else, but I don't want us to ever lose a game. So if we go and beat Burnley, if we go and beat Spurs, fantastic. You can't be one of these people that said, "Oh, I hope he loses the next 2 games because that means he might go." I mean, no, that was never the way I'm going to look at football.
I'll tell you what, if fixtures have been kinder to us and we hadn't played City and Chelsea straight away, I think this team doesn't lose 5-0 against City. If we're playing them 6 or 7 games into the season, this team doesn't lose 5-0 against City and would give Chelsea a closer game. We might even get a draw in that. And it would be a completely different. If we'd have gone into those games with 4 or 5 wins under our belt, completely different set of circumstances. The club was in a mess start of the season. I don't want to keep going back on what happened before, but the club was in a complete mess first 3 games of the season, really, with injuries and COVID and, that. But, that team for me looked like that can be built on, definitely.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. And it's
only going to get better. The manager could still go, because it's that team, that group of players.
Exactly. I think those players, and I've said this before, I said it in the transfer window, I think these players have been bought for Arsenal and Arsenal's future. I don't believe, personally, that they were bought. He was included in the sort of recruitment team overall. But they were bought for Arsenal. They weren't bought specifically for Arteta.
No.
So I'm excited about the future under these with these young players, and because they're only going to get better and better. And what you got to take into account for the match on Saturday that we had, the central defenders never played together before. White and Tomiyasu hadn't played together before. White and Tomiyasu never played for the team. Full stop. The central midfielders had never played together before. And there were new partnerships all over the pitch. The goalkeeper had never played a Premier League game for us with that back 4 in front of him before. So there were new partnerships all over the team, and it could have been excused for quite a disjointed performance with 5 new signings on the pitch at the same time. But it looked quite settled straight away to me. And it wasn't perfect, but it was a really good performance. And that is only going to improve week on week as long as he doesn't keep chopping and changing the starting lineup. If he can actually have quite a fairly settled team now with Partey starting instead of Maitland-Niles, then it's only going to get better as they gel. And that's what's quite exciting to me. It really is.
Well, Terry, by the way, talking about Tottenham before, Terry in the chat saying when we played them not down the road, we should give them a gift that gets the guard of honour for winning the league in August. And whilst they're confused, send on a semi-naked Sol Campbell parading a replica of the trophy.
It needs to be a big trophy if he's if he's got nothing on his bottoms.
Depends what half. Oh dear.
The interesting thing will be in 2 weeks' time when Jack is available again, isn't it? If he's gone with Martin and Ponga for the next 2 or 2 games at least.
Yeah.
Then Xhaka's available. What happens then? Does he pull Lokonga out and play Xhaka Partey, or does he just keep it as it is? That'll be the thing to decide, won't it?
It's going to be really, really interesting. I said to Taib, my dog's wrecking my sofa, sorry. I said when we signed him, Taib, that I was really, really happy with the signing. And it really aggravated me, the negativity that Ramsdale got before he'd even officially actually put pen to paper. It's disgusting, to be perfectly honest. And you got people on Twitter in their bedrooms writing all this crap who think they know better than the entire England scouting network, which is one of the best in the world, by the way, and the Premier League scouting networks who signed him for Bournemouth and Sheffield United. The fact that he's not only player of the season for both of the clubs that he unfortunately got relegated with. But he'd been brought into the England squad whilst in that position with his club side. It says it all to me. And when you actually get some accounts from people that actually play football alongside him or people that have managed him, it's 100% positive. You never hear a bad word about the guy. And when I saw him make his debut at West Brom, when I was lucky enough to get tickets for that game, I could see straight away the bond that he had with the fans, which was amazing, but also obviously the players and the way that he was commanding his box. And at 23, I think he's one of the brightest parts of the recruitment we did in the summer. He's not going to get any of the plaudits because he's a goalkeeper. He's not going to get noticed as much as Lokonga or any of the younger players that were brought in, because you don't see him often, hopefully, fingers crossed, when we're playing well. But he could be our goalkeeper for the next 10, 12 years quite easily, and he could go on to emulate, I'm not saying like trophy-wise, because of what we lucky enough to witness back in Wenger's day, but he could go on to emulate David Seaman and become England's number one and play at Arsenal for the next 12 years. I'm really excited about having him. He's just absolutely lovely guy. He actually gets involved during the game with Arsenal as well, like David Seaman used to do when we were chanting his name every now and then. He used to like put his fingers up and say 2-0 or whatever, and play up with the fans. And he's along the same sort of lines, and I could see him being Arsenal goalkeeper for many, many years to come. And I'm delighted about the signing.
I think he'll turn out to be, in today's modern game, he'll turn out to be really cheap at 30 million.
Yeah, I do.
I think, I think that's a good investment in terms of a long-term player, and the fact that we didn't buy him as a backup goalkeeper. We bought him to be our number one.
Yeah, I know, and I couldn't get my breath.
Into the side straight away.
The amount of people that, even in the press and media, and saying, why on earth have Arsenal spent 24 million plus add-ons for a backup goalkeeper? And how many times did you see me on Twitter putting, we did not buy him as a backup goalkeeper, for Christ's sake? How can you not get that into your head? How can people not get that into your head? We didn't buy him as a backup. This season is supposed to be a battle between him and Leno. And that's the way. I don't think it will be either. But I think that's the way that it's been put forward by the club, just to not put Leno's nose out of joint too much, in case we do need him, obviously. But that's the way it's been put forward. But I think that I don't think that he'll lose his place now, in all honesty, unless he gets injured or literally starts throwing him in his own net. I don't think he's going to lose his place now. I really don't.
I think he's here for the duration. I think it'll be Leno or one of the other junior keepers that'll play the Wimbledon game, and I think Ramsdale, he'll just want to forge that triangle with Gabriel and Ben White and that back five, make that a solid unit like we used to have back in the days. That was what the whole team sprung from, was that back four, back five, and that's what we're trying to build again. It's exciting to see it, really, because it will go wrong. They will have bad games. There will be mistakes, but you just got to keep looking at the long-term, development of the squad and the other players. None of them are getting on. They're all young-ish, and they'll all grow together. I think it's great. But,
I do as well. I do. And
whether Arteta stays and goes, or he can't develop, I don't know. But as you say, we're not buying players to keep Arteta in a job for 5 years.
No. And then Scott Gary touches on Arteta as well. Says Arteta could win his next two games, obviously burning Wimbledon, actually, because he's not Tottenham, because he got Wimbledon before Tottenham. So and could still lose his job. A better run team should have expectations. He says I don't feel Arteta can reach with this squad. His last 18 months have shown that.
Well, he won the FA Cup.
He's not had this squad for the last 18 months, has he?
I'm just reading it, yeah.
But I don't. I'm not worried about the manager, because I've said, like I said, and you just mentioned again, Ryan. These players, I'm convinced they're not bought for Arteta. They're bought for the club, and I think that this set of players that we've got now are 100% good enough to challenge within the top six, not just as top six, sixth place as the limit. I think they can challenge to get into the top four even at a push. Because I mean, Man United, Man City, Chelsea, incredibly strong again. Liverpool are still hanging on in there at the moment by the tips of their fingers, but their squad is aging, and there are a couple of injuries away, in my opinion, of starting to dip again a little bit. Liverpool, I think they're performing at the best they possibly can now with this squad, but
I think injuries for us is a key, though, isn't it? I think injuries.
That's the thing. Yeah,
if we lose 2 or 3 players from that starting 11, then we start to bring in the Elnenis and Cedrics and places people like that. But then we haven't seen Tavares play that much. Well, we have seen him play, but he could be the next one to come in to do well in one of the fullback positions, couldn't he? Potentially.
Yeah, and I also. I've said this before, so apologies for repeating myself. But just, when you have a really good season, like the Leicester season, as it's known now, everything has to gel at the right time, and everyone has to be fit at the same time. Everyone has to be on form at the right time. Everyone has to be lucky with injuries at the right, so you're not literally chopping and changing all the time. And when you get that blend, which is really sort of magical formula, because that happens once in a blue moon, then you can have a Leicester season. But if we do have that bit of luck where we could get through the season pretty much unscathed injury wise, then we can. I mean, we were only 6 points off top 4 last year. I mean, that's that, and no one can tell me that you look through the season's results and say that we couldn't have made up those 6 points. I know it's not about that.
Losing streak, didn't we? We had that losing streak.
That's what it's cost us.
Wins there instead of 2 losses. That's the difference, isn't it? That's where.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, no one can tell me that we aren't good enough to get up there. But time will tell whether Arteta's the man to take us there. But I don't want him to lose games just to get rid of him.
Exactly. That sort of pissed me off. And obviously, Steve was mentioning it as well on Twitter at the time during the week. People were putting tweets out saying, "Oh, would you want Arsenal to lose if it meant Arteta being sacked on Saturday and things like that?"
No,
claiming to be an Arsenal fan and not saying that.
I know. It's just
and I've got idiots in an idiot in the chat on Saturday saying I'm toxic and things. I've never said anything like that, but I'm the toxic one apparently.
I know, it's ridiculous. So, Steve, we mentioned earlier, I mean, Aubameyang, touch wood, he scored 4 goals in 4 games so far, and I know there's caveats about who we played against, but he just looks to me like he's got the bounce back in his step, he's got the smile back on his face, and he's trying that bit. He's trying the runs because he's got the players behind him that he knows that I'm not going to waste my time if I make this run, because I think that over the last year. He's literally lost the will to run, to make those runs, because he knows that he's not going to get past the ball as when he should. And he's got better players behind him now who can hit him with not only Kieran Tierney can do it on the left-hand side, he dinked a lovely one over on the weekend. He's obviously got Ben White who can do it now as well. Gabriel ain't too shabby at passing. I think our goalkeeper even is a lot more accurate with his passing. But then you move forward even further, and you've got Partey and Lokonga. And Ødegaard in front of them.
Yeah, Smith will come off the bench as well. Pepe doing whatever he does.
If he can stay fit and the players behind him, we've got a really good passing spine throughout the team now as well, whereby he's going to get found a lot more. And I just think that could be the key to unlocking him again this season and giving him a really good year.
I mean, there can't be anything more demoralising as a striker like Aubameyang who scored goals wherever he's played. Making a run, and then he sees the ball land at Xhaka on Elneni's feet, and he's thinking, well, I've just run 30 yards to get under a ball, and he's just knocked it 5 yards to the left or to the right. And you think, you stop making those runs, don't you?
You do.
Psychologically, you think, he ain't going to pass me the ball. So and then you've got no one to pass to, have you? When you do get the opportunity to pass it out, nobody's making a run. So
I know. Well, I've played it. I played football myself. I was a half decent level at one point, and I was a striker or right wing. And I can tell you that even at the level I was playing at, it's the same. If you, no matter what level you're playing at, if you're playing in a team that are not giving you that ball, when you're literally busting a gut throughout each half, running up and down, trying to get the ball, trying to get them to spot you and put that pass over to you, and that it's not coming, you do get demoralised and you do stop making those runs after a while because it's human nature.
Yeah. It doesn't matter if they don't pick you out, does it? It doesn't matter if they don't pick you out all the time. The fact that for every 5 passes forward, you're going to get on the end of 1 or 2 of them, aren't you? You're not going to get on all of them. But if you're not making them in the first place, then you're never going to get there, are you?
No.
So that's what excites me about Lokonga and Ben White and the others. They are looking for that forward pass. They're looking for the runners. Their head is up, looking forward. They're not looking sideways to look at improving their passing stats. 100% pass rate, 5 yards. That's no use to anybody, is it?
No.
I'd rather you hit 10 passes and 8 of them went absolutely nowhere, but 2 of them hit the target and we picked up a goal. Perfect.
Yeah, I know exactly, and it shows you when you got the best players, the best midfielders you'll ever see. Yeah, I've never got the highest passing stats because they try that. They try that dangerous ball. Exactly.
Yeah, they take the risk. And then strikers get used to that. They think, well, he's going to see me. I can already see him, and he's seen me, and I'm going to make this run now.
Yeah. And you can see in Aubameyang, just looking at him, his body language and the way he's made. I mean, he actually showed us his pace. I don't know if you remember on the right hand side actually against Norwich at the weekend.
Yeah, saw
and
that.
He beat that player. And I thought, oh my God, he's got the afterburners on for the first time in ages, and he's not lost any of that pace. Well, but where was that last year? That he just wasn't giving that last year because that didn't disappear. I know he had the illness, he had the malaria. That could have affected him because obviously that's bad, worse than people think. But that was the quickest I've seen him run in ages, and he just seems to have that sort of oomph back in his game.
Yeah.
And I'm quite
got a spark. Got a spark back,
really.
Yeah, wants to play.
Yeah, I'm quite encouraged actually. I'm not going to say he's going to golden boot or anything, but he's got some tough competition this year.
He has now, yeah.
Jesus Christ, Lukaku and stuff. But I could see him having a much better season this year. Put it that way. With the players he's got servicing him now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's it, isn't it? But if you've got the creative players creating, and that doesn't mean to say you've got to dribble past 5 players and knock it in the back of the net, is it? A creative player can knock it 30 yards and put it on a sixpence.
Yeah.
That's a creative player.
Exactly.
They see that pass, but they can't hit it. Whereas you've got players that can hit it. That makes the difference.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, we know what Partey can do with that ball at the weekend. But also, remember that pass that the Conga made to Tierney? I think it was against Chelsea this year. Where he just floated one over and Tierney took it down on his toe over the defence. I mean, he's got it in his locker as well. And then
so's Tommy. I've seen some YouTube.
Yeah.
Tommy, he's got that in his locker. He can hit. He can hit diagonal. He's the best.
Exactly. And when we went on that good run to win the FA Cup, can you remember all the amount of passes that Tierney was dinking over the top for Aubameyang to run onto?
Yeah. That's it. I mean, it's so close, isn't it? It's so close to being a really, really good side, I think.
Yeah. Just God forbid, we just need to be lucky for once. Just once. But please be lucky this year with injuries, Arsenal, for crying out loud. We're so unlucky all the time. Just if we can get that bit of luck this year, then I think we could end up after the horrific start we had. I think it could end up being a half decent season after all. But we do need that little bit of luck. We can make it through the night.
Well, the Cherry, as you've seen on screen, the Cherry in the chat saying, love Ramsdale. I remember those naked Stoke man wearing a baseball cap wanted to towel flick him in the shower, so he had to leave. Now he's ended up at the Arsenal. Happy ending. Pulis wasn't expecting.
Yeah.
That's one up on Pulis after what he did to us in Nabry.
Yeah, exactly. And would Partey be the only change going into? For me personally, he would, unless the only other, unless Smith Rowe is 100% ready. That's the only other option, whether to put Smith Rowe and. In fact, if anything, I would actually put Smith Rowe in place of Saka and just give Saka a rest. He looks, he does not look ready yet. He does not look ready yet, even though he's still one of our better players, even when he's knackered. And he did put in a couple of good shots, which resulted in the goalkeeper making a save, pushing it back out and creating further goal mouth scrambles, etc. Just because of his movement inside the box and everything, he still causes trouble for other teams, even when he's not playing at his best. But I'd be tempted if Smith Rowe is available to rest Saka and play Smith Rowe, Aubameyang, and Pepe up front. And apart from that, I'd stick Partey in. But the other thing to bear in mind is, I mean, you can't always think like this because of what might happen. But we all know what kind of team Burnley are. They always have been. No matter how many times they say they're not, they are a really tough tackling sort of rugby team at the end of the day. And what I would just get that feeling that Partey, Jesus, if he gets kicked or taken down against Burnley and we lose him for the Tottenham game, I'd be devastated.
But he's not a wimp though, is he? Partey's not. I mean, I know he's had injuries, but he's not exactly a wimp, is he? I mean,
God, no. But
he's like he could give it as much as he takes it, I reckon.
Yeah, but really teams do target your best player, don't they? Teams do target your best player and try and give him a reducer early on in the game, and all it's got to take is for him to roll that ankle again.
I think if he's 100% fit, then he has to play. That's
I would say that as well. I would say that as well.
He never doesn't play the same team twice, does he? He always manages to make at least one change. And I think with that, and I agree with Saka and Smith Rowe. It might not be a bad ploy to swap them, every other game, just to sort of give them a bit of a break. But definitely Partey to start with Lokonga. That would be my ideal central to start with against Burnley.
Well, yeah, I'd have Smith Rowe for the next couple of games and rest Saka for the North London derby at least, or give him a few minutes in the Wimbledon game or something like that. Just let him. He's had a long. Everyone needs to remember he has had a long summer as well with England's Euros and all that. We've always been happy. Did have a
the Wimbledon game was the absolute last one. I'd play him in. I mean,
that's what I'm saying. I'd start Smith Rowe in both, and if he wants to play Saka for like last 10 minutes or whatever, give him a bit of run out ready for the North London derby, then fair enough.
Can Xhaka play in the Wimbledon game? Can Xhaka play in the Wimbledon game?
No, that's his last game for suspension.
Yeah, so he's back for the North London derby. Yay!
Yeah. Well, Tavares getting the game against Wimbledon, isn't he? Tavares holding Mari, Cedric, Leno in goal. That's where you're sort of heading, aren't you? So it's a game we've got to win, isn't it? It's not a game we can take lightly. I mean, again, it's a trophy.
Lacazette will be up front as well. Lacazette will be up front.
I know this ain't going to be popular and it'll go against a lot of what I've said before. However, I think that it might not be. This just sound. I can't even believe I'm saying it, but I might actually even play Xhaka and Partey in the North London derby. I might even. I'm just for that game.
Yeah, but to have that bit still in the midfield, so it's not just
because you know what their midfield's like. Their midfield is just hod carriers, aren't they?
Yeah. Højbjerg and what's it?
Højbjerg and Winks and
that's the one. Ndombele, that's the one. Ndombele.
And Ndombele ain't even been playing, has he?
No, but I'm saying that's the options they have.
What's the other one? They're gone out of my head.
I can't remember his name now.
He's the one I can't think of. He's another just lump kicker, and I wouldn't be against playing just for that game. I wouldn't be against playing Xhaka and Partey in midfield, because that's one midfield battle we really don't want to lose. And I think that throwing Lokonga into his first North London derby when we have had such a we're playing catch up after the start of the season, maybe not be the best idea.
Yeah.
But I would want to put it on, it would only be for that game, surely.
Yeah, just
but
for that.
I think it might be an idea, to be fair.
Yeah, and then Gary's saying,
I think Jack will play at some point.
Yeah.
It'd be a shame if he did play him, but I can understand your point about the steal in the middle of the park. But I think Lokonga can play that sort of role.
I'm not. Don't get me wrong. I mean,
if you're getting on a run, do you really want to start breaking up partnerships?
It's a funny one, yeah. I mean, do you know? I would not be against him playing either. I would not be against Lokonga playing. I think it'd be a brave shout. And I don't want I would actually love to have a really nice settled squad from now on. I really would, like a starting 11. But don't forget, like in this day and age, more than anything, it's not just about the starting 11, though.
No,
it is about the players that you can bring off on the bench as well. So I wouldn't be against either option, if I'm honest, in the North London derby. And I have got faith in Lokonga. I just don't want him to. Yeah, I just don't want him to have a bad North London derby. That's get the shit kicked out of him by their crappy midfield.
I mean, if he has another really good solid game against Burnley, then it's going to be hard to drop him, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. In fact, the Burnley will be a good test for him. It really will.
Because how physically demanding they can be. We're going to see tonight how they do it against Everton.
Beyond that game, they'll potentially have played 2 or 3 games together. And again, now you've got the startings of that partnership, haven't you? If that's the way it's going to go.
Well, we still haven't seen Saka and Partey play together, and I'm so excited to see that for a proper extended period of time. I really am. And it's right. BX Gunner said Guendouzi shown it can be done. He did. I mean, the point is really at the moment the Spurs midfield has changed a lot. And it's not got any kind of class in there at all anymore, is it? What's that other guy's name? Do my head in.
He might have been playing on the week.
Because
he's injured.
No, he went off injured. Yeah, it was. It's that kid that's came through their academy, I think.
Takanga.
No, he was at centre back.
Never look.
They had.
I'm trying to think now.
Yeah, that made it. But the point remains: they're all big three massive big lumps.
Yeah,
just sitting in front of their back four.
The midfield 3 on Saturday was Højbjerg, Oliver, Skip, and Harry Wick.
Skip. Yeah, Skip. That's the one I was thinking of. So yeah, they're all big lumps, and none of them can play football. And that's the only thing that's making me. And it's not the fact that I want to sit Sambi, Gary, for the North London derby. It's just to be perfectly honest, I was thinking out loud because as I was going through it, I thought their midfield just came into my head, and I thought, well, it might be an option, to be perfectly honest. However, there's nothing stopping us having a 4-3-3 against Spurs and having Sambi, Partey, and Xhaka.
Yeah, well, at least we've got options. At least we've got options now.
Yeah, exactly.
First game, we didn't have any options. It was like, put your hands up if you're fit. Right, you're playing.
Yeah. I know.
Now we've got combinations we can play, and that gives us a lot more flexibility. And strategies 4-3-3, 5-3. Whatever we want to play, we've got the players that can slot in there.
In all honesty, even if we don't play, if Xhaka stays on the bench, we've got enough to beat this Spurs side. We really have, because this Spurs side is shocking, absolutely shocking. But they are going to go out there. They're going to go out there to kick lumps out of us, and they're not going to go out there to play football. They're not going to try and beat us at playing football. They won't, and they're going to try and kick lumps out of us. So that's all I'm. But BX Gunner's made another good point. Lokonga will be level-headed out there. Kid's mature for his age, and that's very true. And he's very, very calm. Like I said earlier in the show, he's really calm on the ball. He won't lose it and get himself sent off or anything like that. I absolutely guarantee that. He really does seem to be a very mature player. But I just don't want him. He's still not quite, bulked up enough at the moment, and that's the only sort of the slight downside for him. But I'll trust him out there. I certainly would trust him out there. I just don't want us to lose that midfield battle. That's all.
I think he's the sort of player who'll be well aware about the history of the game, and I think he would know how important this game is to the fans and our season in general. And I think that would raise him to another level potentially.
Yeah,
I think a lot of the younger players that come in, even Tommy would be well aware of the history. Ramsdale well aware of the history. And I think all of them are itching to play in that game, without a doubt.
Yeah, definitely. In that case,
you want players that want to play. You want players that actually want to play.
Yeah. And do you know what? Well, this is the other thing we haven't touched on yet about this game on Saturday. Not one player on that pitch you could say, in my opinion, didn't give his all on the day, and that says an awful lot to me about the manager.
Yeah,
and none of them sort of gave up, did they? They were all fighting for their manager on the pitch and trying to win that game, and none more so than Odegaard, who had that question on the screen about, and I'll come to in a second. Like right towards the end of the game, Odegaard. Do you remember? I can't remember who it was, but he followed. I think we had a corner, and he literally followed this player all the way, and he was the last man at the back, and put it out for a goal kick. Shepherded him out for a goal kick. And he brings a lot of that. He was like leading our press on Saturday, Odegaard. He's a real hard-working player, and although he's got all the talent in the world, he's still a really hard-working player.
He'll do the ugly stuff, won't he, as well?
100%.
He'll get his fans dirty. He'll do the tackling back, the pressing, and as you say, chasing back in the last few minutes of the game. That tells you a lot.
Yeah, he's a leader. He's 100% a leader in the team.
And we've got a few of those. We've mentioned about leaders, no leaders in the side, but I think we've got the shoots of a few leaders coming through now.
We have, yeah. I think so as well.
But there's other leaders potentially coming through now because they're showing that passion, that commitment.
If we can continue with that sort of attitude on the pitch, because that wasn't there against Man City, it was missing. That kind of attitude was not there, and we started a lot of new players on the weekend, and that makes you think that you have to sort of start having a look at the players that were left out or couldn't play for one reason or another. You have to think of all of the individuals, and why was there such a massive sea change in our attitude on Saturday compared to the game against Man City? Now, who was left out? And go through them. Why was the change that massive? Because we weren't doing any of that running on against Man City. None of it.
No.
So
and then it wasn't injured either. He was on the bench, so he's clearly been dropped on the basis of his start of the season.
Yeah. And to be fair, that's quite, it was. We were all surprised, right?
Yeah, well,
because he hadn't done bad. He hadn't done really terribly. Like he wasn't throwing them into his own net or anything. He made some really good saves, if you remember. I mean, especially against Chelsea. But
hard to say, it was unbelievable. Yeah.
But there's other aspects to that, and he doesn't. He has never. I've never warmed to Will Leno, and I said this in one previous show, didn't I? Recently, I've never warmed to him. I've not slagged him off. I've never really gone against him, but I've never warmed to the guy. But instantly, I warmed to Ramsdale, and there's more to it than his goalkeeping skills. And right to the original point at the beginning of the show. People forget that he is part of the defence, and the goalkeeper has to play really well with the players in front of him, and they have to gel together. The same, like the centre back partnership. You've got the right back partnership with the right centre back, etc., etc. The goalkeeper's got to fit into that and play well with them all, and got to have the trust of them all. So when they pass back to him and he passes to them, he needs to know that they're going to control it and do something properly, with it, not lose the ball, and vice versa. And he's got that over in abundance over and above Leno. He just has. He's got more the presence. He's got more. I just feel so much more confident already, and he's only played 2 games for us. But you can see it.
To go long, isn't he? He's also,
it's so visible.
Yeah. If he hasn't got a pass on that's not going to benefit the side, he'll just go long. And 9 times out of 10, he'll pick a man out as well.
Yeah.
Whereas Leno seems to be a little bit more. He's almost like, I've got to pass it short. So no matter how precarious that puts us in, I've got to pass it short.
Yeah, I know.
And then, whereas Ramsdale, his mentality is completely different. He's trying to pick a man out that's not going to put the team under pressure. And if he can't do that, well, I'll just put it long then. There's no delay in him thinking about that. It's almost instantaneous. Can't do that, I'll do that.
And could you just think for 1 second and what you think the outcome would have been from that goal we conceded against Brentford from the throw-in? Do you think that if Ramsdale was in goal that day, a hand on your heart, that we would have conceded that goal?
I don't think we conceded either goals with Ramsdale in. Going by what we've seen
that's the difference,
in 2
isn't
games.
It's fine lines, isn't it? Goalkeepers' mistakes lead to goals, don't they?
It's not even the fact that he was being held down by the guy, whoever it was, for Brentford, and everyone was trying to say it was a foul. But he wouldn't. Ramsdale just hasn't got the personality to allow that to happen to him. He would have shouted as loud as he could in that bloke's ear to burst his eardrum if he needed to. Pushed him away. He would have alerted all of the defenders to say, "Look, what's happening to me here, guys?" Yeah. But Leno he just doesn't say anything.
Well, maybe that's just part of the
silent Bob.
It's his German personality, isn't it?
But Lehmann was German.
Lehmann was German. He was mad.
Yeah, but he was an animal, wasn't he? I mean,
exactly.
We'd have penalty every game, wouldn't we? But
I
think Ramsdale, because he's come up with an English background, he's used to playing that sort of football. It gets a bit, physical in the box. And he can give it as much as he takes it. I think
you can't give away a foul for bursting someone's eardrum with your voice. So
you never know. It's VAR.
You do whatever's necessary to get yourself out of that situation to not let your team concede a goal. I'm sorry, but you do.
I think we've all decided that he should be our first choice. It sounds like
it does.
I think everybody sort of made their mind up pretty quickly that he should now be our first choice goal. Especially as Leno sort of came out with that "I'm leaving next season" type comment, or believe it or not, but. Again, yeah. So it's not the first time he's come out with something like that, and you just think, well, to be fair, if you want to go, we've just spent 30 million on a keeper. We bought him as our number one. Let's make him number one now. Let's cut to the chase.
I think that's the idea all along, and the whole reason for giving Okonkwo another contract earlier on in the summer was probably the hope that he might be developed throughout this year to become the number 3 goalkeeper for next season. Because he'd be pushing about 20 years old, maybe 21 by then.
He's 19 at the moment, so he'll be 20 gone. 20.
Yeah, 20. So, I mean, he might not be ready. It might mean that we might have to get someone else in for 1 more year on loan. But it doesn't matter at the end of the day, because in about 5 years' time, we're going to look back and think, Jesus Christ, what a player we've got here in Ramsdale, I think. And 30 million will seem like an absolute snip. And you can't disregard the comparison with Chelsea paying £72 million for Kepa, for Christ's sake. 72 million.
Look how that's worked out.
Exactly. And when you think that the future England number 1, hopefully, fingers crossed, Ramsdale, we got for 30 million quid, I think we'll look back on it and think that was a great bit of business. And I said that during the time when we signed him. And I'll never change my mind on that. Unless he goes on a run of 10 games and starts literally kicking them in his own net, then fair enough. But that ain't going to happen. He's got a lot about him, that kid, and he's happy. Do you know what makes me even feel happier with that about him? He's so happy to be at Arsenal.
Yeah,
and I want players with that kind of passion to play for the club.
And look how much it meant for his family as well.
There was a point when he thought we weren't going to continue with the sale. There was an element of time where we were in for him, and then we then stopped looking at him, and then he thought, he's missed his opportunity, But then, it's he wants to play for the club. And I said it before, you want players that want to play for the badge. You want players that run through a brick wall for you. And he's that sort of player. And he'll drag people with him. He'll make the defence play better.
He will.
Make the defence play better.
He will. He was constantly shouting at them non-stop throughout the game because I was right behind him during the West Brom game, and he was always going on and organising his defence. But not in a stupid way. He was doing it and they were actually listening to him, and that never happens with Leno. It never happens at all. I'm not saying he's like completely mute during a game, but people don't seem to listen to him much.
Plus,
they don't seem to take notice.
You've got Ramsdale, shouting at his defenders. He's not shouting at a 30-year-old plus that's won the World Cup and played 500 games for the club. He's shouting against players that are 22, 23, 24, similar sort of age. So they're going to listen, aren't they?
Yeah. It was pretty similar to when David Seaman came in the early night, the summer of 90, going into the 90-91 season, we won the league. He's
exactly the same.
He was a young goalkeeper as well. Obviously, he'd already started establishing himself, but he came in and he still had relatively a young back line in front of him. Tony Adams, obviously, still in his early 20s. Dixon, Winterburn, and the oldest player really at the back line was the likes of David O'Leary.
Yeah, exactly. So how exciting is that? To have a back four, back five of all of a similar age.
It's brilliant.
Yeah, there's no egos there.
There's no egos there. They've all come from different backgrounds, but basically, they're all going to grow together.
I'm loving this comment, by the way.
David Seaman got relegated with a team before he came to Arsenal as well, remember?
Yeah.
Terry
in the chat, big up Terry all night. Saying Lehman could have an argument.
I love Terry.
In the middle.
Thank you for being here, Terry.
No, which time staring at it. Prefers Ramsdale seems the type of guy that tries to catch his own reflection.
I know. But going back to Gary's previous one, you can't in a season where I'm never going to vouch for Aubameyang as captain because at the end of the day he's just not captain. But we gave him it, and we can't take it away from him now. I mean, Jesus Christ, we need that guy so much this year. He's hit so many of our hopes pin on Aubameyang this year. Not the young guys, but getting the young guys to supply Aubameyang to put the ball in the back of the net. And how could you take the armband off a person that's so important to the team this year when we need him so much? So much is put into this armband situation, and it's not the same as it used to be back in our day when in the 80s and 90s with Tony Adams and all that. Captains just aren't the same anymore, and it means so much less. What you need is the right characters on the pitch. It doesn't matter whether they're wearing the armband or not. You just need the right characters, and I think we're getting there. I really do think we're getting there. So to piss off Aubameyang now and demoralise him by humiliate him by taking the armband off him, it's just pointless. You just need to get everyone else to step up and be more vocal on the pitch. And like I said, we're definitely making steps in the right direction with that, with our recruitment. So thankfully, it should be a lot better. But
I think you've got to look at the vice captain. Look at the vice captain. Go for a really strong number two, Tierney. Someone like that. To be the second voice on the pitch. So Aubameyang's not playing or he goes off. He's still got a strong character, rather than just hand the armband to the nearest player. Make a definite statement with the vice captain. We've got a management team, 2 players. You're the captain. You're the vice captain. That's it.
Yeah. Any of them on the pitch should be happy to just sort of stand up and be counted when it comes to it.
Yeah.
And I hope that we're getting there. I really do. But I think Aubameyang, I'm quite confident. I really am quite confident that he's going to have a much, much more effective season this year. And all that captain talk, as soon as he starts banging him in again, we're just going to stop talking about the captain talk, aren't we? It's only because he had a poor season last year that it's an issue. If it wasn't, he's coming out and talking now and so on. And, it's always easy to come out and talk after the match when you're scoring and we've won. But let's just see how it goes with him, because I'm a lot more confident that he's going to have a good season now with the players he's got supplying him. And he's sticking to the role that he's best at, running on the balls. And so, let's just see how he goes, because I'm quite confident he's going to be all right. And Charlie Patino, Shane, what a talent. He is quite, not talent-wise, he can actually slot in, I think, personally. I think he could be on the bench this year a lot more. And I think he'll be on the bench for that Wimbledon game, definitely. But the thing that's holding him back is just purely, in my opinion, it's just his build, really. He's very, very slight. It shouldn't be the be-all and end-all, but I think he's going to be held back a little bit more just to grow into his man's body more. Because if you look at him, if you guys have seen the videos going around of Charlie Patino recently, the talent's there. It's immense talent. But he still looks like a young kid, doesn't he? He really does. I mean, you can get to 18-year-olds or 17, 18, 19-year-olds that just are massive. I mean, I've seen some at my kids' school. I mean, Jesus, some of them just like 6'2" and they're built like a brick shithouse. But he's not blessed like that. He's still very, very like childlike in his body. So I think that's the only way that he's going to be sort of just slightly held back. But he's going to get so good at some point soon. I think next season
he'll more of him
permanently. Yeah, he'll be permanently in the first team, and he'll be making a lot more appearances off the bench. But he is still 17, and he's training all the time now with the first team, and the club are not ignoring that talent because he's smashing them in the face every day. We've been talking about him for at least 2 years already, and he's still only so young.
So he's probably 17, as you said.
He's still growing, so you've got to be careful with injuries, haven't you, with young players?
Yeah, that as well. Yeah.
I mean, we had that with Jack, didn't we? And he played a lot of games early doors, and he just kept picking up injuries. And you don't want, Charlie to come in, pick up an injury, then he comes back in, gets injured. Let him grow, let him develop. When he's, no problem putting him on the bench for Wimbledon, no problem bringing him on for 10 minutes. All that sort of stuff helps, doesn't it?
He's getting all the headlines for the right reasons at the moment, because he's so good. He'll come in, you think, well, he's going to be a world beater, and then he's not. And you think, well, his confidence is going to be at a level you don't want to break his confidence straight off the bat, do you? No, he's not going to be one that's going to go out on loan either. He's going to be straight into the first team pretty much straight away. And I can see that happening a lot more next season. And you look at someone like Pedri in the midfield for Barcelona, who's not much older than him, but he's already got a hell of a lot of football under his belt. He's stronger than Patino. You can see that straight away. But Patino's going to get so good that we just physically can't stop him from going into the first team anymore, because he will be demanding to play. So I think that'll probably be coming around next season a lot more often.
It's a shame we haven't got the UEFA League, isn't it, to get a few more.
Yeah, massive. That's why I changed. Yeah, I remember last season I said I'd rather get relegated than go into that Europa Conference and all that, and then I slightly backtracked, and I think most people will probably already, even though the European football hasn't really properly started yet, they're missing the midweek games, and I am, and I wish we had got into that in the end.
But like we were touching on earlier about injuries, it could be, like Cheddars was saying, pretty much back into last season, was no European football for one season, touch wood, could be a blessing in disguise, and we could have a fully fit squad for a whole season for one, because I can't remember the last time we had a fully fit squad, and hopefully, as I said, touch wood, that we do have that. But Terry here in the chat saying Patino reminds him so much of a young Liam Brady. Same body moving, magical left foot, biggest compliment you can give him.
Well, so far today about Patino, listening to the Arsecast, one of them said he reminds him of Fabregas. The other one said he reminds him of Wilshere. Now we've got Liam Brady. Now, I mean,
Magic,
it does show you how talented the kid is. Hopefully, he's just going to be Charlie Patino, and that's what he'll be remembered for.
Yeah, exactly.
Because he's that good.
No pressure on the kid. That all.
The thing is, that's the thing, isn't it? If he's that good and he keeps developing, he'll get in the squad. He'll get in the side, won't he?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
He's just too good to leave behind.
That's what I mean.
Happen,
and I've seen. I mean, although you've got kids, Steve, or I've got 3 boys, and they can grow so much within the space of 12 months. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
They literally can. At this sort of age. I mean, my oldest is 16 now, but he's taller than me. And my 14-year-old is not far off either now as well. And but some of the players he plays football with are huge. Literally massive. It's like they've gone to sleep in a grow bag or something. But anything can happen over the next 12 months with his body as well. And what young kids suffer a lot with is shin splints. I don't know if you sort of heard about, because I had that when I was a kid as well, when I was playing football. It's really painful. And if you play too much football at a young age, that's a real problem. That actually is a real problem.
Because Michael Owen, didn't he? Michael Owen played a lot of football when he was 16. He had a lot of problems with injuries, didn't he?
Yeah. Exactly.
Because they haven't finished. They're playing professional football, but they haven't actually finished growing yet.
Yeah, exactly. And I said, comment on the screen, I think a few shows ago, I said, tongue in cheek, 2026 Champions League final, Patino and Aziz will be our midfield pairing. That could be lovely to imagine. Because, I mean, Aziz is, I think he would, I really wanted him in the team this year from the bench. And I wanted him to have El Nini's, all of the minutes El Nini got last year. Just to give them to Aziz this year. But he's to be fair to the club, they've actually put him in a good place, working under Dan Cowley.
They've got they've got a clause in the loan though, and they to bring him.
Yeah, a recall.
Yeah.
You could see that happening with the African, you know.
But he's going to develop really well under Dan Cowley. He's a great coach. Really is a good underrated coach. So I'm quite happy that he's there. It's
exciting times when you think about it. When you list all these players, it's exciting times actually, isn't it?
But then,
it's not all doom and gloom.
No. And you've got Murray Hutchinson. Murray Hutchinson is absolutely having the season of his life, or started the season of his life so far in the PL2 for the under-23s. He looks a different class. And Joel Idaho is another one looks electric. I mean, I've never known in my entire life the amount of promising talent we've got at the same time coming through our academy. And I'm telling you now, I mean, Per Mertesacker, Jesus, what a job he's doing in such a short period of time that he's been with the club. I don't know what he's put in the water over there, but it seems that we're producing some unbelievable talent. It's very, very exciting, Steve. It really is. There's people coming. And he's going to be the next one, I think, probably Hutchinson. He might even have a chance of being on the bench for Wimbledon. I don't know. I don't know what the schedule's like for the under-23s team over the next few days. I haven't actually looked, but got my Xbox great. Yeah, mine did as well, mate. That's why we're no longer together.
No, what was it? Going back to Patino as well, though. I think they played Man United over the weekend in the under-23s, and he scored an absolute sublime goal at Bournemouth.
Oh, unbelievable!
Phil
Jones. Put him on his arse,
Put him on his arse, and then done Henderson at the same time.
Yeah, brilliant goal. And then did you see Henderson's reaction? He just literally rolled his head, like. Yeah, it's just a great goal, and
it's like you guys have just said. Literally, I can't remember. Well, I'm 32 years old now. So much talent coming from our academy in such a vast amount of time, like so close to each other as well.
You almost got a team of them, haven't you? You've almost got a team of them.
Yeah, literally. Got Arthur.
Hein as well, the goalkeeper.
Hein, yeah.
He's getting good reports as well.
He looks ahead of Okonkwo to me, and he's already an international. I think Albania or
Macedonia, I think it is.
Yeah. One of those countries. But I think he's slightly ahead of Okonkwo. But the trouble is, I think we might end up losing him at the end of the year, at the end of the season. I think he might sign for someone in January because he's not going to hang. He's not going to be happy to wait around any longer, unfortunately. But Okonkwo, people have got the wrong idea about Okonkwo, unfortunately, because of those friendly games and mistakes he made in the friendly games have just dashed people's hopes as far as he's concerned. But you've got to just be patient with him because I've seen him have some outstanding games for the under-23s as well, and it just give the lad some patience, and the club were desperate to re-sign him onto a long-term contract for a reason. He's far from being ready to start for Arsenal, as he showed, but just give him another year or two. Send him out on loan maybe next year. And I think he's got a good future as well. He's a really, really, really good, promising goalkeeper.
Yeah, Gary in the chat saying we sound like Edu. Hey, look at the future. Look at the future. We're happy with the academy, but we need to be happy. We do. That's the thing. We do. First thing was to do, but again, we need to be an injury-free first team, and see the first and the manager to pick his strongest 11 for the league, and he can sort of mess about for certain games tactically if he needs to. Fair enough, but we do need a settled spine. We do need a settled backline.
More than anything, we've got that. We've got that with Gabriel, White, Partey, Lokonga. I think we've got that spine. The starting of the spine.
But it's also. Thanks for the comment, Gary. You know how much I love you, mate. But I mean, when there's good things happening at the club as well, it's not illegal to actually talk about those. It's not just because of the start we've had to the season and because we finished 8th twice in a row. It doesn't mean we have to be sort of walking around, with their knuckles dragging on the floors and just going down the hospital for some serious help. We need there are good things as well to talk about, like the academy, which is unreal at the moment, and the good promising performance at the weekend, which there was a lot of a lot of good stuff to take from that. It's not illegal to actually enjoy the good times when even how small they are. I've got no issue as well with talking about things that we've still got yet to develop as a club. There's loads of them, but at the moment it's after such a period without any joy whatsoever. It's nice to talk about some of the good things that are going on at the club as well. And the academy, no one can deny the quality that's coming through that academy at the moment. It's unreal.
Going in the chat saying Mark Green's upsetting now. Got making him cry because he's mentioned number 34. Andrew in the panel, tell me something good again, please. We did say something positive. You had to go out for saying something positive.
Exactly.
That's your own fault.
That's it. I know.
Oh dear, but
we just got to see where we are in 6 games' time, haven't we? And see how we develop, how the partnerships have developed, how the injuries haven't come along to stop us in our tracks, and then we'll know, won't we? We'll know where we're going. Then, the Tottenham game, massive game. We win that game. We beat Burnley. We're on 3 on the spin, but suddenly it's a different season. The players are developing all the time, and I think the future's looking good.
Yeah, and Ryan, do you remember that conversation about the first 10 games and how we needed to bring in 21 points from those first 10 games, and it allowed us 3 losses basically. If we win the next 6 games on the trot, then we're back on track. Exactly. we could
Wimbledon in that game as well.
No, that's just the league games. But if we
first 10 league games,
so I mean, it could literally be that. So fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. It could be amazing. After 10 games, we could be right near the top of the league. But we've got a hell of a lot more tasks ahead.
Yeah, but the better teams tend to cover. You don't want to pick. I mean, what Tottenham done? They peaked at the first 3 games. Now they're going to go down. We've not peaked yet. we're on the upward curve. So let's look at it that way.
Yeah.
You know, we start low and then finish high, as opposed to start high and finish low. You know.
Exactly. My can is literally half full.
Yeah, I'm definitely a half full man rather than half empty. That's for sure.
Gotta be.
I mean, we mentioned. We've got Tottenham in a couple of weeks' time, and we mentioned obviously they peaked league-wise. Anyway, they did peak in the first 3 games, and they sort of obviously saw over the weekend they got put in their place. But the warning sign was there in the first leg of their qualifier for this Conference League, and they lost 1-0 to that Portuguese team I've never even heard of, Roche, or I don't know.
Paco
Rabanne, that's the one. And so the warning sign was there for the Tottenham. They decided to ignore it, and literally because they then beat them the following week with a 40-strength team, surprise, everything's okay and rosy. But yeah, this weekend, big up to Patrick Vieira. It had to be him to break their.
Did you see his comment? One of the reporters, for people that didn't hear it, he said, "What's it like to have beaten Tottenham?" He goes, "I don't know what it's like to lose against Tottenham."
He's got a point.
I love that, man. That's fantastic, absolutely fantastic comment.
Yeah, it's just that sort of shithouser you want from a manager as well. You could tell he took a bit more pleasure out of obviously being the next Arsenal man and all that. It had to be him, didn't it? Of all the managers to stop,
I think with Vieira, if he does really well in Palace, you know where he could go next, don't you?
Yeah,
ready for him next in 2 years' time. We'll be ready for him. He'd be ready to come to us, wouldn't he? He's got the experience, managing the Premier League, blah blah blah. You know, suddenly you're thinking he's won the World Cup. You know, play for one of the best teams on the planet for club and country.
This is what I was saying.
Isn't it? That's a good CV.
And this is what I was saying the other night on the Match of the Day stream that I did. I was asking a chat about Vieira, and basically I said, look, down the line at some point, if I want Vieira to sharpen his teeth properly and be the manager you want, see how he develops as a manager over the next couple of years. And if he develops and is going in the right direction, it looks like he would be a good fit for Arsenal, then great. I don't want us, if the worst was to happen to Arteta and we then go, okay, who goes for next, and go for Vieira, because I don't want that pressure put on him, because he is an Arsenal legend. I've grown up watching him like you guys have watched him in his playing career, and I don't want the younger generation or the Arsenal fan base in general to go on his back and try and tarnish the legacy that he built as a player. Give him let him sharpen his teeth, as I said. Let him, if he's ready. If 2-3 years time he's developing in the right direction and he's ready, fantastic. Go for it then. That'll be ideal. Not yet, because it's too it's too soon after Wenger as well.
Yeah, but this team will also develop, won't it? So in 2 years' time, this team develops, and then he comes on board in 2 years' time. He's going to be in such a strong position with the team the way it's going to develop. And, you know, assuming we sign more players over the next 2 years and a few more the Deadwood players move on, that's potentially that squad's going to be so strong for someone like Vieira to come in and just give final. You know, he knows what it's like to play in the North London derby. He knows what it's like to play against Man United. He knows what it's like to win a league, you know, win a World Cup. He's been there, he's done that. He's managed clubs. You know, he's got all the credentials you want as a manager.
Yeah.
And, you know, in 2 years' time, he'll have, you know, if he stays at Palace for a couple of years, he'll have Premier League management experience as well. So that's great.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Just need to be patient with him as well.
By then, Arteta will have won the league anyway, so he won't.
Of course, in Champions League and everything, he would have won it all.
Well, Odegaard's signed to win the Champions League with Arsenal, wasn't he? He came out and said during the week, didn't he?
Willian did as well.
That, to be fair, though. So.
Yeah, but Willian,
Willian did. To be fair, Willian didn't really keep up to his side of the bargain, did he?
No.
Let's be honest.
So
I don't know.
So he sort of had no choice but to give up his sort of £20 million left of his contract because he didn't really merit it in the first place.
No.
But yeah, I mean, we look on to Burnley now. Obviously, in terms of the channel, we've got Champions League tomorrow and Wednesday. But in terms of Arsenal, it's Burnley on Saturday. Is it 3 o'clock again?
Another 3 o'clock.
I think so. I'll double check.
It is. Yeah, like buses, aren't they? It's another pain of finding a stream again, but there you go.
Yeah, you watch again. You watch. It'll play perfect for me, and then about 2 minutes away from the goal or something like that, or just as about to go in, it's a go, buffer and stop, and I'll be like, "You fuckers!"
I put a tweet out. I said something along the lines of, "You notice how these streams always work when the adverts are on. As soon as the game starts, that's when they start messing about."
Yeah,
I know. I was watching a stream where the bottom left-hand corner and the sides, the bottom, go every 5 minutes probably less than that, but every 2 or 3 minutes, adverts are flashing up.
Yeah.
So the picture went up. I mean, people that advertise on them, they must need their heads testing, because I would purposely avoid those companies like the plague because of the way they're disrupting my viewing of football.
Exactly. Yeah.
You hate those companies. Why are you doing that? Why do you think that's a good idea? Do you think I'm going to actually grab my phone and start looking online whilst I'm watching a football game, and search for your company? Stop disrupting my viewing pleasure, please. For crying out loud.
Yeah, but you might have done that during the City or Chelsea game, mightn't you? You might have had a quick look.
No, I still would have hated them.
It's your fault they're scoring. What are you doing, Ollie?
Exactly.
But yeah, 3 o'clock kickoff. Oh, bloody hell, that's really interesting. And it's away. But again, if we go there and get a positive result, again, something else to be positive about going to North London Derby.
I'll be happy with a 1-0 again. A scrappy goalmouth scramble that's scored by our right back. Anyway, defender.
Ramsdale.
Own goal. I don't care. 1-0 away win with an own goal.
Catches the wind, bounces, and goes over the keeper.
Yeah.
The Lancashire win takes it into the goal.
Yeah, exactly.
We used to live off 1-0 to the Arsenal. So
exactly. I
know. Exactly.
No, I'm not even joking. I'll be happy with a 1-0, a scrappy 1-0 away win with an own goal, and that'd be absolutely fine for me to go away. And it's just about the moment. It's just about building momentum. So if we can if we can win there on Saturday, however, by any means, then we've got Wimbledon. That means that we would have had what's that before on the trot? Yeah. Plus because there was a gap between the West Brom one, wasn't there? Yeah. So that'd be 4 wins on the trot before the North London Derby, and that's got to count for something. And I just hope that Arteta does it and doesn't mess around, not because I'm a massive Arteta-in and Arteta. I'm not Arteta-in or Arteta out. I just want Arsenal to win. And if we're Arsenal are winning, then I'm happy. I don't want the manager sacked for no reason if we're winning. You know what I mean?
I don't want Arteta to come out with some sort of master plan strategy to output. Put the 11 players on the pitch.
Yeah.
The 11 best players on the pitch. Let them play the game. Don't come out with some weird and they've got a reason to put Kolasinac at the back 4 or something like that because.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Yeah.
Just go with the 11 best players on the day and play the game. They'll sort it out on the pitch.
Yeah, I totally and utterly agree, and I've saying that for ages. Just football is not a complicated game. It's just sometimes managers overcomplicate it, especially Arteta and Pep Guardiola to their detriment, and try and just be too clever for their own good. And it's not a hard game, really isn't. You just got to get the defenders to play it to the midfielders to play it to attackers, and the attackers to score. And just get it the best way possible through those lines. And some managers have had great success just getting them to boot it long ball in the past from their mid to defence, bypassing the midfield. Other ones play it through, fine. But whatever way you want to play it, that's that's what you've got to do, isn't it? To score a bloody goal. So just get your best 11 players on the pitch to give you the best opportunity of doing that, and stop pissing around with your formations. Don't
start playing with a false 9 or no. You've got 3. You've got 4 strikers. Play one of them.
Exactly.
Play your best striker.
But if you're gonna do any kind of rotating to keep people fresh, which I don't think we need to do this year, to be perfectly honest, because we've got maximum of 50 games tops. Yeah. So, but if you do, don't include the back four in that wherever possible. Just keep your steady defensive unit. Back five, including the goalkeeper. Don't mess around with that. Just keep them together and keep them building up that relationship. And do your swapping in other areas of the pitch. Just don't piss around with the defence. Yeah. Don't keep going from a back three to a back four to a back five. Just don't.
Yeah, exactly. That was a huge part of things success when he first came in. He kept with what was there, and just obviously changed a few things with the back room side of things, like the diet and things like that. But if they're available, it was David Seaman in goal, and the back line of Dixon, Winterburn, and the fullbacks, and Tony Adams and Bold.
Because he was smart.
Yeah.
You don't piss around with one of the best defences in the world, at the time, and that they've shown it. And he was smart enough to not do that. Because you can bet your bottom dollar, some managers would have come in and just think, no, I want my own players now. Don't care who they are. But he was clever enough not to do that and won him a double.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's a huge part of his success, and obviously because he showed that faith in him from the straight and didn't do what, as you said, that I want my own players, fuck off, you don't know what you're doing. It benefited him again when they would go years later when they go into retire. The next, like the Sol Campbell's, the coach always coming, like they brought in to replace the Adams and all that. They were more than the players we mentioned there were more than happy to then to coach and guide to Campbell and let them settle in for the next generation and all that.
Yeah.
Just sadly, the others.
Yeah, then we went through that phase, didn't we? We were bringing in the Girouds, the Senderoses, the Stepanovs.
Yeah, that's when it all went. That's when it all went tits up.
And these other players that just weren't nowhere near.
Senderos, Scalacci, Giroud, just terrible fucking centre backs, basically.
Just terrible players,
Troy.
Yeah, well.
Yeah.
So we've seen worse than what we've got now. That's for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Look at Wenger got. Wenger still managed to get us in the Champions League every year and get us to the quarterfinals and things like that.
Apparently top four back then though wasn't a trophy, but we talked about
it is now though.
Top four is a trophy now, isn't it?
People didn't realise what an achievement it was all those years, but now. You give you back teeth, wouldn't you, to get into the top four?
Yeah. But now we're not. Now we're nowhere at the moment. We've been nowhere near for the last few years of top four itself. Suddenly it's a trophy. Suddenly it's a big achievement.
Yeah,
but we did
it.
Yeah. It's like, hang on, what's changed?
I know.
Money has changed, isn't it?
Yeah.
But also, to be fair, the Premier League has continued to evolve non-stop as well, and you've got far, far more teams nowadays that are hugely better than they ever were, and have been backed financially a lot more. And there's so many more teams that can beat any other team in the Premier League nowadays. And there's also, the top four is almost sewn up at the moment with City, Chelsea, United, and Liverpool. But Liverpool are the ones that are. They're not much more of a bigger club than Arsenal, are they? They're the ones that are weak. They're the ones that are starting to fall back a little bit, like the lame gazelle. That the Tigers are going to start pouncing on soon, and we need to be in a position where we can pick that team off because they've got a really old squad now, and it's still quality. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying they're shit or anything, but they're over their peak. And they're on the way down the other side slightly now. Yeah, and we need to be in a position to take over from them. Yeah. And who's to say that we can't get everything right in the background like Liverpool did over a period of time and where we can actually start, even if we just win it once or twice, the Premier League. Liverpool didn't win it for 30 odd years, did they? And they went and won it. And why can't we? Because it doesn't mean that because of Chelsea and Man City, who've got all the money, it doesn't mean that they're going to win the league every single year. But you've got to be smart, and I'm encouraged that we are moving down that route with the players that we're buying, rather than buying over the hill big names like we've done in the past and been guilty of in the past. We're buying the players, like I said, that want to play, are desperate to play for Arsenal, and we're buying them a year or two before they become superstars. Hopefully, we were the team that made superstars, like Wenger said. We don't buy superstars, we make them. And hopefully we're going back to that a little bit. And we are projecting on these youngsters that we've bought this summer a lot. But even if only 3 or 4 of them turn out to be real excellent quality players, then we've done really well, I think. And it's a step in the right direction.
I think, we've been on a downward curve. We talk about curves. We've been on a downward curve for a few years now. And I believe we've now hit the bottom of that curve. So now the only way we're going to go now with the players and the investment and so on is going to be up. And say about Liverpool, they were on an upward curve, which culminated in winning the league. But now they're on that downward curve, and it's dependent. It just depends on where that bottoms out. If they don't buy more better players, the older players, get injuries, start retiring. Chelsea, Man City are still on that level whereby they can just go and spend £100 million on a player and drop that hat.
Yeah,
we're not at that level. We're a long way from that level. But what we can do is we can develop the squad as we are doing, and we will now begin that upward curve. That's what
I know. But what we got people can't forget is the players that City go and buy for £100 million. They had to start somewhere, and they were doing exceptionally well. Another club that made them go and buy them. So we need to have those players. We need to have them before they become massively famous, and that's what I hope that we're doing now. And you've got to take a bit of a gamble when you do that, but we're not going to be able to go and buy that player for £100 million.
No,
so we're going to have to go down that route. Exactly,
Smith Rowe could potentially, on that curve, if they carry on the way they are, they become the next £100 million players, don't they? But they're playing for us.
And Lokonga as well.
We've got to keep them.
I think that Ben White's another one that everyone slagged off because of his price, saying we needed this player, we needed that player. Why do we spend 80 million on Ben White and Ramsdale when we needed this, that, yeah? And I totally get their point, but I think he's another one that we're going to look back on and think that was a really smart piece of business in the years to come. Because I really do think Ben White's going to be a really good player for us.
Well, I think you have to bear in mind, you pay a premium for English players, don't you?
Yeah.
You could have bought a French player or a German player for less money, but you want the best English players at our club, and that you have to pay more money for them. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is.
It doesn't matter to me I do agree, and he's got the Premier League experience, blah blah blah. But it's all about the attitude and the players desperately wanting to be a success at Arsenal. And
we've got players like that now, and I believe we've got players like that now.
Yeah, I do genuinely believe that we have, and you can see it in the way that they talk about the club in their interviews and so on. And yes, of course, people can pull the wool over your eyes, and you can believe, they can tell you what you want to hear sometimes, but you genuinely get that feel that they've come here because they really want to help Arsenal to get back to where it used to be. And they've got the right attitude on the pitch.
They come with a smile on. You see them in their interviews.
Yeah.
It's almost like they can't believe they're here. They can't believe their luck. They've signed for Arsenal Football Club. They've got a big grin smile on their face. They can't wait.
No, exactly.
They haven't come for a paycheck or a team that's guaranteed winning the title or guaranteed winning the Champions League. They've come to play for Arsenal.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what we've been wanting for ages. Yeah. Me too. We've wanted that for ages, haven't we? Players that really want to be proud to run, pull on that shirt and run through brick walls for the club, and we're not. I'm not saying that they're all going to be work out and all going to be amazing, but I'd rather see that. I'd rather have the summer that we've had, rather than bringing more Willians, more Louises, go down that route again, more Gallas's.
You look at Willian; he's the complete opposite to what we just said, isn't he?
Yeah,
he's come for a paycheck. Really, let's be honest. He hasn't come to play for the badge, and he loves the club. Louise is the same to a degree. They're not. They haven't come to us to play for the badge because they love Arsenal. But we're now signing players that do want to play for Arsenal. Yeah, they actually know a bit of our history as well. Whether they've been fed that information, I doubt it. I think these guys know the history of the club, and they want.
Of course, they do. Yeah, of course
they watch
do.
English football all the time in these foreign countries, don't they? So they watch the Premier League all the time.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and Gary's giving us a bit of a scouting update in the chat for Burnley, saying watching Burnley take down Everton players every chance they get. Maybe Partey comes off the bench.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I was saying.
Oh, dear.
Yeah. But you can't wrap him in cotton wool, can you? You've got to let him play.
No.
Well, because that's just the way it is, isn't it? In the Premier League, they're all tough games. I mean, look, the poor lad, the Liverpool lad at the weekend. I mean, horrific.
Harvey Elliott.
I actually haven't seen that yet.
Wasn't he? He was about to be substituted as well.
Yeah, Dixon has been substituted. Yeah, basically, Harvey Elliott had the ball. You'll probably find the highlights somewhere, but basically,
Yeah.
I can't believe it was. I can't remember what his name was, but basically, went in for the ball. But he got the ball, but he didn't. It wasn't like a malicious. I'm going to take your legs and break them, sort of, or ankle or whatever. It was just like the coming together and the aftermath of the tackle.
He fell on his leg or something. He was in a weird position or something.
Yeah, and that's it led to that, and because of that, he got sent off. But obviously, it's more so the aftermath of the tackle in the sense of the landing, and as Steve says, that has led to him. He's now got to have surgery, and hopefully, he does make a full recovery because he's 18. He's
he's young player, isn't it? They get an injury at that age.
We saw with Jack. That's the same. Jack was on the same age, like 19, wasn't he? 19, 20.
Yeah.
This is what I'm on about, and about the just the idea of maybe Xhaka coming in for that Spurs game, because that Spurs midfield are going to be playing like that against us. I've got no question, no doubt about that. Or whether they're going to just target, someone like Lokonga. They ain't going to go and target. They'll try and antagonise someone like Xhaka to get him sent off, but they ain't going to go in for those really hard, bruising sort of tackles to try and ruffle him up, to try and reduce her. Where they would do something like that with Lokonga.
Yeah, that's true.
Anyway, I'm going to have to shoot off shortly.
I'm sort of wrapping things up now. Yeah, it's what? You 9:15, so yeah, it's done it. Near 2 hours. But yeah, thanks guys obviously coming on and going, obviously being positive, actually very, very positive. Near 2 hours we've had. Not many negatives we've had.
Needs to be done.
4 podcasts late, but still. It's worth the wait, but
we did do one for the West Brom game, did we? I don't think so. We missed that one, didn't we?
Yeah, that's true. But Andrew, where can people find you? What have you got coming up on your channel?
Yeah, I've got a show coming up on Wednesday. Again, just really more looking forward to the Burnley game at the weekend, I'd imagine, more than anything else. On From Dial Square to Where YouTube channel. Have a look at my blog as well. I'm going to be starting writing at the end of the month for Rolly Dog Media, and I'll give the details out close to the time. But in the meantime, have a look at my website, which is fromdialsquaretowhere.com, where you can see a lot of my my written stuff as well. If you're ever interested in doing so, I'll be very grateful to see what you think. Get some comments on it, and you can find me on Twitter, which is @FromDialSquare as well. And yeah, I've really enjoyed it. Thanks, Ryan, and thanks again, Steve. Been a pleasure.
Been a pleasure again.
Yeah. And Steve, what about yourself? Where can people find you on social media? If you want to,
pretty much just Twitter these days. Steve 1886. So happy to take part. And it's been good to have a positive chat for a change. Yeah. Whether people don't think we should be positive, but I think we should be positive.
No, God forbid we actually be positive for once.
I know, yeah. You're not allowed to be positive. You get shot. Yeah, they'll take you out on purge night for being a positive Arsenal fan.
Yeah.
No, Shane, big up Shane.
We skulk around in the shadows now. We skulk around, but we are there. We are there.
Oh dear, but Shane saying as well. Thanks, lads. Really like this weekly show. I've got two. Technically it's two podcasts a week. Obviously the preview on the Friday, and then obviously Monday's obviously the aftermath of it all. But yeah, appreciate you coming along. And I'm glad to see you're enjoying it. See you next stream. Congratulations on your new job, Andrew, as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Shane.
And with that, thanks everyone else in the chat: Gary, Taib, Shane. I'm trying to think now. We have and all the other usual suspects as well that have been in the chat, keeping it busy. Steve, the Arsenal Misfit. And yeah, I'll see you again tomorrow for the Champions League stream and on Wednesday as well. Barcelona, Bayern Munich tomorrow. Liverpool versus Milan on Wednesday. Thursday, I'm not doing Europa. I only do Europa League for Arsenal. I'm not doing it for fucking anyone else, especially not Tottenham. Jesus Christ. So Thursday's my night off as it stands, and then Friday we're back again doing the preview for Burnley away, and then obviously Saturday is the big one, another 3 o'clock kickoff. Yeah, so if you're new to the channel, do subscribe, do share the stream about as well, share the podcast around and all that jazz, and smash a like if you haven't already done that. And we'll see you again soon. And as always, up the arse.
Come on, you Gunners.
Gunners.
Thank you to everyone in the chat.
Yeah.
Cheers, guys. Been a pleasure.
Come on, you Gunners.
Take care.